Hello, I believe I am live. I'm still very new to this whole live streaming thing, so I might not be. Just going to turn the music down as well, it's quite loud in my ears. There you go, that will do. Okay, awesome. Definitely looks like I'm live to me. Let's just double check. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, I am. Wonderful. So the plan for this stream is, in case you guys don't know, tomorrow is the first session of my new live play called Vostrum, the Arcane Lore, and I need to do some last minute prep. I have not got everything ready for tomorrow. I've not got much ready for tomorrow, but I have an idea of what's going to happen, and this live stream, we're going to put it into action. So come and hang out, ask questions, see how I plan for the game, see how I make maps. We're going to make a map. We're going to put it into Foundry VTT if I get time. If not, I'm going to be doing the rest tomorrow off stream. So let's get on with it straight away because I've not got much time. The stream is tomorrow. So first up, I am going to transition to a Google Doc. And I think, bear with me, what I'll do, I'll just move my camera, make it a little bit smaller. There you go, that's better. Right, so the plan for tomorrow is, well, most of the plan I already know, and we're not going to go through, so you don't get spoiled for tomorrow's stream. But one thing I do need to plan is a dungeon that I think they're going to be going into. So I do believe they are going to be going into a dungeon, but if you're a dungeon master, you'll understand that you probably never know what your players are actually going to do. So I'm just going to call it the dungeon for now. Let's make that big. Yes, I do use Google Docs for most of my planning. I do also use Legend Keeper. If you've seen my video on Legend Keeper, I use that to store like the overall lore of the world, but when it comes to actually planning sessions, I do it all in Google Docs. So most of the, as I said, most of the session I already know what's going to happen. It's just a dungeon that we're going to plan here, and then we're going to actually map it out and then put it into Foundry VTT towards the end of the stream, hopefully, if I get enough time for that. So because this is the first session and we do have some new players playing, this is sort of going to be a bit of a tutorial style dungeon. So it's not going to be overly hard, it's not going to be too complicated, it's just a bit of a taster for new players, get them understanding League of Legends. That's a completely different game, Dungeons and Dragons, and oh hey Amy, thank you, planning my first campaign as a DM, and any tips I can get are so appreciated. So, if you're brand new to Dungeon Mastering, the number one tip I can give is do not overplan. I remember the first time I GM'd a campaign, I planned so much. I literally planned for 2 months before I actually came to the session, and I had overplanned to hell. You never actually know what the players are going to do, so even though I'd spent 2 months planning, they did something completely different and threw all of my plans out of the water anyway. So don't plan too much. How I like to do it, actually, I'll go through how I usually do it. I'll move the dungeon down, and what I usually do, so I'll put last session as one heading, and then I'll put one which I call goals for this session, like that, and then I also do one which, and then I don't really give this one a title, but I try to balance as much roleplay and combat as I can in a session. So if I've seen that they've had a few very heavy combat sessions. I'll try to focus on a roleplay session for the next one. And in the last session, I've just put notes. Obviously, we've not had a session yet, so I can't put that. But I just put notes on key things that happened in that session. So anything that I think I need to remember that's something that does impact the campaign, what they did, let's remember them. And then the goals for this session, I'll only put maybe 3 points in here. And so if we do it for this first session, I'm gonna keep this vague because I don't want to spoil anything for tomorrow. So I'm gonna say meet the camp, find out about the Order's plans, and go to the dungeon. I'll leave it there. I would usually do more details here, but I don't want to spoil this for anyone, so I'm going to leave it like that. And I keep them relatively vague so that I don't railroad them. So I know at some point I want them to meet the camp. I know at some point I want them to find out about the Order's plans, and at some point I want them to at least agree to go to the dungeon and help them with the problem they're having. And then I'll think of ideas. So under each of these, I might then indent and put someone hears them nearby. So that would be a member of the camp has heard them nearby, so comes out of the camp and says, "Hey, what are you doing here? Come to the camp." Or another way they might meet the camp is if they decide to walk into the jungle, they come across the camp. Nice and simple. It doesn't matter if they decide to go west, east, north, they're going to come across the camp because I decide that. So that's next. And then the other one might be, I don't know, they shout into the jungle and get a reply. Hopefully this is helpful. So I never really railroad exactly what I want them to do. And find out about the Order's plans. I'm going to keep this one very vague because it's quite a big spoiler if I let this go. But it could be they get nosy and investigate themselves. They ask the right person. That might mean they find out about the plans. And the way they could do it would probably be they pretend to be researchers. So as I said, this probably isn't going to make much sense because I don't want to spoil stuff, but I just keep some ideas of how I think they can find out about the plans, and I want them to find out about the plans. They might not. They might realise there's something going on and not investigate, which would sort of suck because, you know, that's the point of this adventure. I just think of some ideas and then I might write some more notes on what exactly happens. So if they do get nosy and investigate, I might put some extra notes, which is like they have to sneak past 2 guards to get to it. But most of the time I just keep that in my head, and I sort of set out the scene, which I'll do when we get to the map, and then I just keep in my head what they would have to do to get through this. And then go to the dungeon, the final, this is what I'm going to do here. So dungeons I plan a lot more because I like to have detailed maps. So there's a lot more planning when it comes to a dungeon. So yeah, that's what we're going to do here. Hopefully that's helpful. Something I sort of glossed over, but might be helpful if you're brand new GM, Amy, is that when they go a direction you don't expect them to, you can just pick up something and put it there. So a good example of this is I'd planned before that they were going to go left down a path because it made sense for them to go left. That was the direction they needed to go. But there was a right path that I had said that there was some old like haunted house in that direction, and I was quite vague to try and get them off the scent, but they decided to go right even though they needed to go left to the next town. So what I did was, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Curse of Strahd, but there's a Death House part of it. At the very if you do levels 1 to 3, there's an area called Death House, and I just picked up that house and I put it in the right mid-session, even though we weren't playing Curse of Strahd at that point. We'd got out of Curse of Strahd, but they'd never done a Death House. So don't be afraid to, if you haven't got something planned, just pick up something else and put it there. Which is what I meant here when they said they decided to walk into the jungle. Even if they said, I want to go east along the beach, that's fine. The camp's just going to be a bit east now instead of west, what I expected. And don't stress as well. That's the other big thing. The first time DMing is always very nervous. Even now, I've been DMing for maybe 6 years, every week for 6 years, and even now I still get nervous. So try and relax and enjoy it. Hello, Ghost Menace as well. Thank you for coming along. We are going to be planning and creating a map for a dungeon and then putting it into Foundry VTT if we've got time. So the idea for the dungeon, so let's do idea first, is some guards have gone into the dungeon to investigate it because it was close to the camp. They wanted to make sure there was nothing dangerous in there. They have not returned. So I'd say this is a pretty standard idea. Someone has gone into a dungeon, or they've gone somewhere dangerous, and they haven't returned. So it is now the party or the adventurers' turn to go and rescue them. Because the party are lost and don't have anything else on their radar, the top guy of the camp is going to ask them to investigate this dungeon. I also am saying dungeon here, but it's actually going to be a sea cave. I just call every sort of dungeon crawly type thing a dungeon. So the top guy of the camp is going to ask them to investigate this dungeon and try to find the missing people. In return, they will be allowed access to rations and shelter with the rest of the camp. So a very simple thing, just to ease them in. As I said, so we've got two people who have played Dungeons and Dragons before, and then we've got two people who are brand new to Dungeons and Dragons. So this is sort of going to be quite an easy dungeon to set out. So what's actually happened here then is the guards went to investigate, but there are ... I haven't actually decided what monsters it's going to be. So if I bring up D&D Beyond, so let's chuck D&D Beyond over there. 1 second, there you go. So if you're not familiar with D&D Beyond, it's a online tool. You do have to purchase the books through it. So if you've got the physical books, you have to repurchase the books in digital format. But it's got this nice, it's got an encounter tracker. So I can create an encounter. You can go to manage characters here. And then I've got the Vostrum characters here. So some of these I need to get rid of because that's just me playing around. So these are our 4 players. And now if I was to, let's just chuck in some of these abyssal chickens, on the right hand side it shows you the difficulty. So if I chuck in 3, it says it's quite easy for this party. If I chuck in 4, it gets medium, and if I keep chucking in loads, it says that this is going to be deadly for them. So this is what I use most of the time. Well, I use this to work out how hard the encounters are going to be. But then I do use a bit of my own brain to work it out as well, because sometimes the challenge rating doesn't work very well. So you do have to realise sometimes, like if I throw a young dragon at them, they could be killed in one hit. So let's not do that. And then you've got these filters on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to environment coastal. I want them to be monstrosities, I think. Or do I? Yeah, let's go with some. Let's see what the monstrosity. Oh, there's not many monstrosities actually, so let's get rid of monstrosity. Let's just start with coastal, and then I'm going to drag the challenge rating right down because they're only level 2, so they aren't going to be able to handle much. So let's just put it there. And then we are going to have a look through stuff, and I'm just going to see if anything inspires me, and then I just open it in a new tab. So nothing too exciting. Oh, harpies, I do like chucking a harpy. Kobold, I like a kobold as well, especially for early levels. Let's have a look at the Kraken Priest as well. Don't think we want any merfolk this time round. They've already fought some Sahuagin, I think is how you say it, so I'm not going to chuck any more of them at them. So I like the idea of maybe a sea hag being the like big bad as such. I think that's probably going to be it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to look through these. We're going to start with a sea hag. Amy, when you are planning encounters, do you try to keep them at medium difficulty or easy and add in enemies if you need later? So I actually, this is going to be down to how you like to dungeon master. So I actually generally will try to keep them hard. I find it's easier to bring down the difficulty mid-combat than it is to raise it. So, for example, if I just quickly... So the Kraken Priest is a good example. So if we put in the Kraken Priest here, it's a level 5. So yeah, okay, that's actually quite high. So that's very deadly. But if I threw that at them, and they had managed to take 30 hit points off of the Kraken Priest, and I was like, oh god, they're not going to survive this. They're not going to be able to manage another 45 hit points before it dies. Mid-combat, you can decide, okay, well, this Kraken Priest only started with 35 hit points, so they only need to get one more hit off of it in order to kill it. And I find it a lot easier to bring down the difficulty than to raise it. But in saying that, I do change it up a lot. Sometimes I do chuck easy stuff, especially if they've had some hard combats one after the other. It is quite fun for players sometimes to just go on a rampage and kill loads of things without having to think too much. So it is good fun to put an easy or a medium at them. But generally I try to keep it hard. And another thing to keep in mind, something that I try to do quite a lot, is if we pick kobolds, for example. So if I bring up all the kobolds, and if we get rid of the environment, in fact, so we get all the different types of kobolds. And I say, let's say there's 5 kobolds at the entrance, which is an easy difficulty here. If the players use a thunder wave, this could easily alert the next room past, which might actually have a kobold dragon shield and a kobold inventor in it. And then because they've been alerted and they're now coming to this fight, that once easy fight has now become a deadly fight. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Try to keep your dungeons as dynamic as you can. I think that really helps the players get more immersed, because if they fight 5 kobolds at the entrance, make a load of sound, and then they walk through the door and into the next room, and there's 2 there that are just sitting having lunch, it's not very realistic. They were making a lot of noise, and yeah, now they just have to fight them too. So there are a lot of things that can sway the combat without you expecting it. So just bear that in mind. Right, so what I want to happen to what is this music? Let's change that song. That's a bit too much for this. So what I want to happen in this dungeon is for them to sort of fight their way through and then there to be some sort of boss. So the newer players get the experience of like this big bad with some minions around them style of combat. So now that I've got kobolds open, I could go for a kobold style of boss. So let's say it's a kobold sorcerer is the boss. And then let's see how many kobolds I have to put in before that's deadly. Quite a lot. Okay, so this is why I liked the idea of using a sea hag. Sea hag. Because if you put in a sea hag, if you look at their stats, they've got some pretty nasty stats here. Some things like this horrific appearance can actually be quite nasty in a fight. So I sort of like the idea of using a sea hag as the boss at the end of the dungeon. But what sort of minions would a sea hag have? So there's also one of these we could use. Use some harpies. So let's go back to here then. Let's just put it back to environment coastal. And let's see what kind of minions a sea hag might have. So you could have some harpies. We've already got harpies up there. They could have what is one of these? Oh, okay. No, it wouldn't be one of them. Let's... Definitely wouldn't be a dinosaur, that's for sure. Who's that? Oh, okay. No, not him. Ah, here you go. So this is what I was looking for, but I must have gone straight past it. Let's see if there's anything else. So there's the sea spawn creatures here. So what I think we're going to do, because these also are quite deceptively nasty. They've got some quite nasty attacks, if I remember rightly. So I think we're going to use sea spawn as the main creature, as the main minion, and then we're going to have a sea hag as the big bad at the end. So if we go back to our encounter tracker, and we've already got our sea hag in there, so let's now go to the sea spawn, and then we add one sea spawn in, and now this becomes deadly. So that is pretty nasty actually then, isn't it? Let's see if there's anything. In fact, what we'll do, we'll change the challenge rating down to 1/2. Let's see if there's anything else we could put in. So giant crab's 1/8, which is a bit too small. I'm wondering if there's any beasts we could put in which are sea-like. But it doesn't look like they've got many actually, which is a little bit annoying. What's this? What's a tribal warrior? No, not really. Okay, so what is a sculpt? Oh, okay, so it's like a invisible stealthy creature thing. No, we don't want one of them. Okay, so we might need to rethink this then. I still want to use sea hag and sea spawns. We just might need something else. What's a barnacle best do? Nope. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead then is we are going to... Actually, let's have a look at the let's see what happens if we do chuck some giant crabs in. So this is the other thing about challenge rating. As soon as you put in more than one monster, it does massively change it, so bear that in mind. So Dave is asking, how often do you reskin enemies to suit your desired environment? And quite a lot. So that's what I was actually just looking at doing. I was trying to think what sort of beasts I could just reskin, because I find that the easiest one to reskin. So if we go to monster type beast like this, I find it a lot easier to take a, let's say a bloodhawk, and you can change that to any type of bird, really. There's loads of beasts that you can just change to whatever you want. So this fox could quite easily be a big cat of some kinds. There's a seahorse here. It's a shame they're in the sea, can't really use them. So this giant lizard could be some sort of sea lizard type thing, maybe. There's nothing that's massively standing out though for this specific situation. So what I am gonna do is we're gonna get rid of that. So what I am going to do in this situation is we're going to take a humanoid. I'm just going to find one. I want one which is exactly 1/2. So we're just going to find a humanoid. Here you go, Crushing Wave Reaver. I don't know why that didn't come up when I was looking at the coastal environment. But what we're going to do, we're going to take some of these and we're going to chuck them in as well. So we're going to have one of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the Crushing Weaver as a sort of lower level sea sport. So we're going to use this, we're going to start with this stat block. We're going to change it a little bit, so it's a lower CR, Sea Spawn or Sea Hag variant. Is the plan of action. Okay, so now we've got all of the monsters sorted. We'll do that a bit later. So let me Killer Seagull. I don't think we're going to go with a Killer Seagull. We could do a swarm of crabs. We could change crabs into... Oh, there you go. So, Dave, you are thinking the exact same I'm thinking, actually. So, what the plan of action is, if I didn't make it clear, is we're going to change this Crushing Wave Reaver into an undead version of it, essentially, which is going to... I like the idea, now that I've seen it, of this shark tooth longsword. So they're going to be like sea zombies. Yeah, like how you said it, lost sailors or drowned men. Very nice. So, so let's change it now. So there is a sea hag who's taken shelter there. And changed some, I don't know how to word it, so let's change some beings into sea spawn and sea zombies. I might, in fact, you're right Dave, I might just use zombies. It might just be easier than me reskinning that first one. So guards went to investigate, but there's a sea hag who's taken shelter there and changed some beings into sea spawn and sea zombies. They have captured the guards, and when the players arrive, they will be midway into being transformed into sea spawn. The players have to stop the ritual. So for, I don't know if you're still watching, Amy, or if there's any other new DMs here, if you want to make your encounters, especially your combat encounters, a little bit more exciting. Try to add some environment into it as well. So rather than the players just ending up in the end part and just having to slap some people with a sword until they die, there's now this situation where it's midway through some sort of ritual where they're being transformed into sea spawns and they're going to have to do something to stop it. So that's the idea. So now we're going to do the areas of the dungeon. So what different areas do we need? So we obviously need an entrance, which is being guarded. That'd be step one. Let's just chuck some things there. We obviously need the Sea Hag's Lair. Which is gonna be also, I'm just gonna put a little side note of a ritual area, which will be in the Sea Hag's Lair. We're obviously gonna need some corridors. I'm gonna call them corridors, obviously they're just caves. So entrance, which has been guarded, Sea Hag's Lair. I want an area where I'm going to put witches are held, but this is where, so once they've stolen a person and taken them under, they're going to chuck all of their belongings in an area, which is going to be a place near the Sea Hag's Lair that if the players get that far, they're going to be able to loot, which would be very nice for them. What else would be in a sea cave? So I quite like the idea of, now I'm thinking about it, let's bring up the D&D Beyond before, and let's get rid of these and let's have a look at some oozes. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking there, he's going crazy at something. So I like the idea of the environment attacking them as well, so it's not just all creatures. They're going to go into an area which maybe has an ooze in, or maybe there's going to be some like mushrooms that release spores. So I think there is a gas spore as well. So, and maybe there's even some spore servants. No, maybe that's complicating things a bit too much. So let's have a part, which if I go back to my notes, so area where there's oozes and spores. So I think this is probably going to be enough for me to build something. It's only going to, so in case you don't know, the sessions are only going to be 2 hours. We decided that that's probably a good time for people to actually be able to sit down and watch, because a lot of them out there are 4 hours plus, which is a long time to commit to watching someone else play D&D, and I don't really want to try competing with people like Critical Role, so we've kept it to 2 hours, which means everything is going to be more condensed than probably what you're used to at the table, but I'm going to try and keep it a lot more action-packed, and there's always going to be stuff happening, so there won't be any downtime shopping and stuff like that, and we'll just do that between the sessions, so it's always very action-packed and viewer-friendly. So a lot of the session, or at least half of the session, I think, is going to be taken up by this part. The part that I don't want to give you too many details because it's going to be spoiler-esque. So they're going to meet the camp and then maybe find out about the Order's plans, or at least get a little bit of a whiff that something is happening out of the ordinary at the camp. And then they're going to be asked to go in this dungeon, and this will be the second half. So we really only want this to last around about an hour. So it's going to be quite small. So that is where we're going to leave that. And then I'm just going to write in, although we've already decided what monsters are going to be in it. So we've obviously got a single sea hag, we've got some sea spawn, we've got sea zombies, we've got spores, and we've got oozes. I think they're probably going to be grey oozes, but let's have a look. So I think this is the one which corrodes metal. Yes. So if you've got a new player or a few new players, this is a nice way to introduce them into Dungeons and Dragons. There's also a creature called a rust monster, and it slightly corrodes their weapons, which is obviously not nice at all. But it's a very quick way to show them that all monsters aren't just beefy bags of hit points. They do have other effects to them. So they're going to hit this and the weapons, which is not very nice. So they're very quickly going to have to realise what is happening and work out a different way to deal with the grey ooze. Very nice. Let me just see. Cool. Okay, so let's actually bring up this, and we're going to go to Incarnate first. So let's create a new map. We're going to create a fantasy battle map. So I'm not actually sure if Incarnate's going to have all the cave aspects that I need. So we're going to have a look together and work it out. If not, I might use Arkham Forge. Probably not going to use Flowscape. I've been liking Flowscape a lot recently, but that's better for outside environments like forests, seas, beaches and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just quickly come to the stamps and see if there are cave walls before we start. So they got some ruins here. Here you go. So they do have some terrain that I could use as cave walls here. They've got some stone walls. Here you go. They've even got cavern walls. Perfect. So we'll probably just use that for the sea walls, which looks good. Perfect. So this is the paid version of Incarnate. So if you only have the free version, you're going to have a lot less stamps than I have. But yeah, I like the paid version. I use it quite a lot. So yeah, very nice. So let's find what the ground is going to look like first. And so, because this is a natural cave, we don't want any sort of cobblestones or anything like that. I wonder if we use this grey ground. Let's keep looking. There's definitely not going to be any lava down there. Let's see what the grey ground looks like first, I think. So I'm just going to make it nice and big, put it over. Yeah, that looks very cave-like, I think. So let's cover it all up. Like so. It's even got some raised elements in the ground already, which is going to be very helpful. So yeah, let's do that. So, and then I'm going to put in the walls, bearing in mind we now know what type of rooms we want. So let's find these cavern walls again. Okay, so we're going to want a circular one. So if I, just for ease, I might start, yeah, we'll start in the top right corner just for ease. So I'm going to chuck that there. Oh, and then it's going to need to be a lot smaller than that on this canvas actually. It's a bit annoying that it's a bit red actually, isn't it? Wonder if we can change that. There you go. Maybe even a little bit darker. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, with Incarnate, they recently have added the ability to change the color of all of their stamps, which is very nice. Let's actually put in the grid to make sure. Let's zoom right in so we can make sure we get it perfect. You can also put in the ability here to put random stamps on, which is pretty nice. I might actually let it give me some random stamps so we get the randomness of the walls. Okay, and then I need a curved one. Oh, let's chuck the curved one in there. So this is going to be the final sea hag area at the end we're starting with, and then we're going to work backwards from there. So, oh, wrong way, there you go. Okay, yeah, I think that won't be too bad. And then in Foundry, we're going to make this a wall so they can't actually see you behind, so I'm not that bothered about what this area looks like for the time being. And then I want a littler one, was there? Yeah, here you go. I've done this wrong. Have I done that wrong? Let me zoom in. Yeah. What have I done wrong here? Something doesn't look quite right. Are these the wrong way around? Because this has the dark line on the inside. So I think what I actually need to do is do that. Oh, and flip it. Then rotate it. There you go. That's better. Perfect. And then this is the same as well. It seems to have the dark side on the inside. So let's just do the same, just for ease. Turn it around. So no, I haven't actually used Dungeon Draft before. I've heard good things about it. And maybe actually what I will do is I will get it at some point and I'll do a Incarnate vs Dungeon Draft video, because a lot of people say good things about Dungeon Draft. The reason I prefer Incarnate is purely the style of how it looks. What I've seen from Dungeon Draft has, it looks a bit more cartoony, I would say, is the easiest way to explain it. So that's why I stuck with Incarnate for the time being. But maybe if I actually grab it and play with it a little bit, it will, yeah, it might be better than I thought it would be. So we've got all this. So let's go to the next area. Have you used Dungeon Draft? Has anyone here used Dungeon Draft? Would they recommend it? I've used Arkham Forge as well, which is just an easier tool to use than this, in my opinion. Doing the walls like this is a bit of a pain. In the Incarnate, you can just draw them and it puts them in, which is a lot easier. Right, so we need one big long one now, which... In fact, we need a little corner first. Just like that, and then if we do the same, but we want it the other way. To make the little corridor. So this is where the Sea Hag's going to be. And Wonder Draft as well. Yeah, I've heard good things about Wonder Draft as well. I definitely need to check them out. I've been playing a lot with Flowscape recently, which I really like Flowscape, but it doesn't make dungeon-based maps very well, annoyingly. But I definitely will check out Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft. And Dungeon Fog as well. It's another one that I think you said about that I want to try out. So maybe what I'll do, I will get them all. I will use them to make different maps, and I'll do a big video which compares them all, so people understand the differences, and it might help them decide. So what I'm going to do, so we've used this little area at the top here. Oh, let's do that. So if I'm just going to use this to just mark out the different rooms. So we're going to go downwards and we're going to have a room here. In fact, yeah, let's let it out a bit more, and then we're going to have. Have I done that the wrong way again? Yeah. Yeah, that's the one we need. That is very confusing. Okay, so we're going to have another room here, which is going to be the spores room. So that's the one that they're going to go into just before they get to fight the sea hag. So yeah, Amy's saying that you like the style of Incarnate, but you like how Dungeon Draft is the one-time pricing. So yeah, that's also a big thing about Incarnate. You know, obviously you have to pay monthly. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Dungeon Draft has the wall drawing system as well, which just makes it so much easier. The only reason I really put up with Incarnate is because I make world maps and region maps as well. But like doing the walls like this is such a pain, where in Arkham Forge you can literally just draw around and the walls are there. So if Dungeon Draft or Dungeon Fog or Wonder Draft have the ability to draw the walls, then that is also a big plus. Right, so we're going to have the ooze ones there, and what was I've already forgotten what all the different rooms were. So we want the corridor, entrance. Oh yeah, the area where the riches are going to be held. So in fact, what we'll do, we'll have oozes here, and then we're going to have the room up here. We're going to have the oozes room quite big, so it's not a puzzle, but there is going to be areas which are relatively safe. And then we are going to want the corridor going down this way. And then we also want a guarded entrance. So in fact, let's have the corridor go in this direction a bit. And then we're going to have just a little entrance area, which is going to be guarded by the zombie people. Perfect. Okay, so let's start up here then. So if we go back to our stamps, we need a little circular one. There is quite a lot of tools out there now for, I've done it the wrong way around again, haven't I? Yeah. There's quite a few tools out there now for map making, which definitely makes it harder as a dungeon master to know, or well, as a creator of any kind, to know which ones are worth buying and not. Yeah, I guess that's why there's quite a lot of people on YouTube making tutorial and tutorial-y type stuff between them all, and I should definitely be doing that as well. So yeah, I will make one like that. At the moment, I've been liking Flowscape quite a lot. So, Zenix Moo, I think that's how you say your name, just started my first campaign in 5 years yesterday, making Homebrew World, and doing it all through Foundry was awesome. Used a lot of your Foundry videos to make it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Foundry. So I used Roll20 for a little while, and I came across Foundry because of another YouTuber called Encounter Library. I'm not sure if you've seen any of his videos either, but they're very good as well. And So I gave Foundry a go, and it is so much better than Roll20 in my opinion. I don't really know why people put up with Roll20. I feel like because it was the first one to come along that was quite good, that's why people put up with it. And you can get official content for it. You can't buy, like, you couldn't buy Waterdeep Dragon Heist, for example, on Foundry VTT and have it put in. But if you're homebrewing stuff, Foundry VTT is just so much better. It's definitely better in my opinion in a lot of ways. But yeah, as I said, a lot of people put up with Roll20's madness. It's not too, well, I say it's not too bad. I wonder how many people in here there are that have used both Roll20 and Foundry. I wonder if you actually like it or not. So yeah, Cinemax saying in Dungeon Draft you can just draw these, which yeah, that's one big downside to this. Edward the Silver Dragon, isn't Roll20 also the only real one out there? I'm new here. So yeah, Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds are the two where you can actually buy official D&D content from. Neither are owned by Wizards of the Coast or anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons, but they do actually license out the products. Whereas Foundry VTT, there's another one called Owlbear Rodeo, stuff like that. You can't get the official D&D content from that. So yeah, Amy saying literally could spend hours making maps. I have definitely done that. Right, let's work out what we're doing here. I'm a bit lost now. So, free. Sorry, good. I read that completely wrong. Yeah, Roll20 is free to an extent. I believe, I can't remember what you get from free to the paid versions, to be honest. But yeah, it's free to an extent. Foundry VTT is free for your players, but as a DM, yes, you do need to buy it yourself. I like the art style of Dungeon Draft, to be honest. I'm not sure what I'll do. I'll save this quick. Let's just call it Sea Dungeon. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the watercolor incarnate maps that they recently released. I'll quickly show you. So yeah, they've got these now. So they're watercolor styles. Let's put it big so you can see properly. So they're watercolor styles that are now in Incarnate as well, which are quite nice if you like that style. If you like the watercolory style, you still have the problem where you have to actually place the walls, which is a pain. But they're quite nice. So this is the new thing that they've put out. And then the Fantasy Maps one is the one that I'm using now. And you can make all kinds of stuff like this in Incarnate if you spend enough time. That's a pretty nasty Kraken. Oh look, there's even a little face down there as well. So yeah, they're there's two different Incarnate styles you can get, and then you can also get the watercolor cities now as well, which is also quite a nice style if you like watercolor-esque stuff. I might play around with these a little bit at some point. I'm still sticking just to the standard fantasy stuff at the moment. But yeah, I just prefer it's not really realistic, is it? But it's just not cartoony. Yeah, so the one that Wasad 20 uses is Owlbear Rodeo, and it's a very minimalist style of a tabletop, virtual tabletop. So it's not got anything fancy really. It's basically you put a map down, you put tokens on the map, you move around. I don't even think at the moment it's got the ability to do like abilities and spells and stuff. I think it's all the person at the computer would roll their dice and say what's happened. So if you just want a place where you can put your map and chuck some tokens on it, then yeah. Another good thing about Roll20 over Foundry VTT is that Foundry VTT is, unless you set it up in a specific way, it runs off of the DM's computer. So yeah, that's one downside to Foundry sometimes. It's not too bad though, to be honest. I'm okay with it. But one of the massive things about Foundry VTT for me is always going to be the what they call the modules. The modules are just so good. You can get so many good ones out there. I recently did a video on 5, which I found recently and really like. I'm going to chuck this down here a bit and we'll just make this a bit of a funny angle. I don't think I'm going to manage to get what I wanted to get done today because I keep on talking to you guys, which is good. I'm glad you're all here to keep me company. Okay, you came across Foundry from RuneScape session at Christmas. What's that even mean? Were you playing a RuneScape D&D session? That's madness. Oh, okay, thank you, Igrid. So yeah, SRD and no dynamic lighting for free if you haven't paid for it. Which is fair enough. Yeah, if you can get past that, then if you don't mind about that stuff, then do that. Yeah, I use the DDB importer as well to get everything into Foundry. It's just so much easier because even people who don't really like using stuff like DDB, you have to admit it makes the whole character creation part a lot easier. There's not much that sort of makes it as easy as DDB. Right, let's make this wall. Yeah, Amy said you got an account so you could host it online. Yeah, I can definitely see why you do that. It makes it a lot easier. I think all of my players have quite good internet, so it shouldn't be too bad. Does it generate wall and light integration for Foundry? Not sure what you mean. Oh, the DDB imported, you mean? So there were two DDB importers. Let me see if I can remind myself what they were called. Oh yeah, so one was called VTTA, D&D Beyond importer, and then the other one's just called DDB importer. The VTTA one, the developer stopped supporting it, so it doesn't work anymore. But with that one, you could import all of the modules from DDB as well. All of the adventures, sorry, from DDB, which was nice, but you can't do that anymore. And the other one doesn't do that, and they don't have any plans to do that, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. Let's turn this to a little alcove here. And that doesn't look quite right, does it? There you go, that's better. They look nice, but one of my demons is just a new one since he was tired of Roll20 never working well for him. His dynamic lighting, the free Roll20 actually seems to work better than the paid one. Oh, that's no good. I think I've only ever used a pay one. I don't think I've ever used a free one, so I'm not sure how that uses. Yeah, if you haven't used Foundry VTT, I would definitely suggest it. It is very, very easy to use. If you just want something minimalist, Owlbear Rodeo is good, but if you care about dynamic lighting and stuff, I've never had any problems with Foundry VTT. So yeah, give that a go. Another one, if you've never used Arkenforge, if you're playing at a physical table, you can use Arkenforge to put it onto a second screen and then just upturn that screen and put miniatures on it, which is quite nice. But that doesn't have online capability. That's okay, Amy. You are definitely distracting me, but I like it. It is. It's fine. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be distracted, so we can all have fun chatting together. Right, let's chuck you in there to close off this area. Yeah, I really don't like making walls in this tool. It might even kill it for me a bit. RuneScape did a D&D session live and used Foundry, did they? RuneScape D&D. D&D token in RuneScape. I am going to have to look this up. I'm going to... Oh, is this it? Oh yeah, this is Foundry. Oh, no way. That is cool. Wow. Very nice. When you first said it, I thought you meant they played D&D in RuneScape as like a third wall breaking style of thing, but that is still cool. Right, let's get some of this stuff in. VTTA developers, were you making them from scratch? Oh, okay, there you go then. So he's still working on bringing those features back. I've been using the DDV importer for now. Yeah, I've been using that as well. It's been, yeah, it works well enough at getting the characters through. I've had some problems with it doesn't equip the equipment as it comes in, which is a little bit annoying, but it's, you know, it's not the end of the world. You just have to then go into the equipment on Foundry and equip them. Right, so I need this one again. And we'll put that like that. Megumin, D&D and RuneScape. Yeah, so I have also just learned by Zenixmu that RuneScape, the guys behind RuneScape, played a D&D session live and used Foundry VTT. And when he first said it, I thought he meant that people in RuneScape like had their characters sit around a table and play D&D while playing RuneScape. And I thought it was some crazy multiple dimension stuff going on. Oh, hi Rich, how you doing? Rich is another D&D content creator. Go and check out his channel. He's a very nice guy. Does some really cool content. Doesn't Dungeon Fog have it built in too? Is this the wall creating tool? I think Dungeon Fog definitely does have the wall creating tool as well. Hey Rich, I didn't plan, to be honest. I had some last minute prep to do and thought I would jump on stream to talk to people while doing it, and now I keep on getting very distracted and I haven't got anywhere near as much done as I thought I was going to. But that's fine, because we're having fun along the way. Right, let's chuck in some walls. Right, so I want that to get a bit narrower. So if we do this, move this up a bit. You can not interest me in a game of League, I'm afraid, Dave. I am busy. If anyone wants to play League of Legends with Dave, let him know in the chat now. They're looking for extra players. Right, let's try and get these blooming walls done. It's taken me so long to do these walls because of Incarnate. So let's soldier through. Let's get them done. and then we'll actually plan some stuff. Okay, so I might, in fact, is this going to ruin everything if I select it all, move it, and make it all a tad bigger? No, that didn't ruin it. I had a bad feeling there that they're going to ruin everything. Which saying he spent the last 2 hours fighting against the foldable green screen. I've actually given up with green screens now. I used them for a little while, but they never worked well for me. So I've given up with it. I now sometimes use the NVIDIA broadcast. If you've never heard of it, it's got a virtual green screen where you don't need a green screen, and it works to quite good success actually. What I'll do now is if I go into it, I can get rid of the background, and then hopefully you should, I'm gonna have to wait for the stream to catch up for me, but there you go, it should have got rid of the background for me. I should have probably done that ages ago. It looks a bit better than having a thing there, but it works quite well. You saw what the background looked like before, and now if I move around a little bit, it does quite good at getting rid of the background. Right, let's just chuck in some final walls. No, not that one, this one. Chuck in some final walls for the entranceway. Then we're gonna be done with the walls because I've had enough of doing the walls. Okay, so in Foundry, all of this is going to be walled off, so they're not going to be able to see this area around it. So I am not going to bother changing the ground outside of the cave because they're not going to be able to see it anyway. Right, so the next thing to do is I want to see if there's some cages. So we're just going to go into the stamps. We're going to type in cage, see what comes up. Nothing, no cages. Okay. Oh yeah, they've also put in a hashtag system. So if you want stuff specific to graveyard, for example, you can put in the hashtag graveyard and it brings up all the graveyardy type stuff. I'm surprised they don't have a cage though. Let's scroll through then and see what we could use instead of a cage. We could use this sewer grate, maybe. Let's keep having a look through. Egrid, yeah, this will be on my channel. I keep my streams as unlisted, so you have to go to the channel and then when it says uploads, if you just select that and go to live streams, it will be there. I don't put it in the I don't put it as like an uploaded video because it's a bit of a mess. It's just me chatting to the stream and chilling, and it's not produced combat. It's not produced content. So yeah. See you later though. Thank you for coming and hanging out. I very much appreciate it. Right. Yeah, I think you are right, Amy. That sewer grate definitely looked cage-like enough for me. I might even use the copper one. Oh, there's some more variants as well. Which one do I want? This one. Oh, there you go. I think this is perfect. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have this grate here. I'm going to take the brightness down a little bit so it fits in with the thing, and then we're going to have a table. So let's see what comes up with tables. No. Okay. So not what I want, like a altar table kind of situation. So let's scroll through again and have a look at this. Which has a Nice. How's the new website going for you? Yeah, very good actually. For in case all people missed it, I now have a new website. So I put 3 maps on there. So it's just stuff I've made. So I've made a little hellscape map recently. So this was in Incarnate. I made an animated boat map in Flowscape. I just chuck. So I'll probably chuck this this sea dungeon on here once I'm done. I've got a D&D blog area as well. So it's got the Welcome to Vostrum announcement and some other stuff. Why is Critical Role such a success? And then I've also designed some D&D merch, which you can come and purchase here as well. So that's striked.com if you're interested. But yeah, it's going well so far. It's one of those things that, so I didn't upload videos for quite a while. And it may have looked like I'd given up or I'd got lazy. But no, I was actually setting up a live stream, setting up a website and planning. I sort of started this for a little bit of fun in lockdown, and because it's been going quite well, I didn't really have any strategy or any plans of what I wanted to do with it, so I thought I'd step back for a second, put some plans in place and then go again. Amy, there's a temple section. Perfect. Let's see if we can find that. It's marble. Ah, here you go. That looks good enough for me. So there's some altars here that they've got a book on. So what I have in my head is like an altar where one of the guards is going to be lying on it midway through a ritual to be turned into one of the sea spawn. So I reckon one of these might do actually, even though they're supposed to be walls. I think if I make it big like that, that looks like a altar to me. Then I think, I don't know how I've definitely seen somewhere that there's bodies. So let's try and find them again and see if there's any which look like they could still just about be alive. How would I find that? Doesn't seem to be anywhere here. Corpses, here you go. So yeah, that'll do. So I feel like he looks quite dead, but it's okay. It's not high enough resolution. It's a bit. Oh, I know where actually. So in whereabouts is it? Is it regional HD? They have got people. Here you go. So if we don't want cavalry, we want like guards. That's it. So if we pick a guard, why is that so small? Why is it upside down? That doesn't quite look right, does it? Right, let's try putting it down a layer. I can barely see him now. Oh well, you know, that would do. I don't think we're going to get much better like that. Yeah, he definitely looks dead, doesn't he? He doesn't look worse. It doesn't look like it's going well for him, but that will do. Right, so what else do we think would be in a sea hag area? So we've got a cage which has one of the guards in. We've got an altar with a guard in where she's going to be doing her ritual. Oh, I know something that we might be able to put in, maybe. I wonder. I would quite like a small stream of water that goes through the area, but I'm not sure if we're gonna. be able to do that. So let's see what it looks like if we do it here. Richie, a drum and bass all of a sudden. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's change that song, shall we? It's a cyberpunk, apparently. Here we go. That should be better. Yeah, so I think you're on the same wavelength as me, Amy. So seaweed, piles and bones. I want it to be, so at the moment it just looks like a cave when it's supposed to be a sea cave. So I'm not sure how I can make it. It might be quite hard to make it have like a little stream going down that looks realistic with the ground I've picked. I wonder if actually, what would happen if I went here and I subtracted. Oh, it's not on the blooming right thing, is it? Okay, ignore that. Yeah, I didn't add it in the first place. So let's try. So if I do that and then that. So what I've done here, so what I've just realised for those of you who are new, is I have put this ground in the background rather than the foreground. So I think if I go to the foreground and I put this on the foreground, like so, and then I go to the background and I make it disgusting green. Oh, where did that bit of wall come from? That doesn't look very water-like to me, that green, does it? It's supposed to be green water, but let's go with it. Let's see how it comes out. And then I go to the mask tool and I add back in the foreground layer. In fact, it's just foreground all over it, so it doesn't look so silly. There you go. And then I subtract a small trickle through. That looks a bit more like water, doesn't it? I'm still not sure about that, but I mean the greenness of it though. Maybe I'll change the background to be a bit more water-like. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's do it then, and let's see how it goes, shall we? See if I fill it up again. Let's subtract. Let's make the brush even smaller than it was. Why did that not? That didn't go very small, did it? Okay, apparently we can't make it go any smaller. Not with that option anyway. Okay, so when you're doing it rough, it doesn't go that small. Ah, here you go. Okay. So maybe if we just do something like this. So it looks like it's slightly trickling in, but then there's a pool here, which is where it stops. I don't like that outer stroke. There we go. You can get rid of it. That's handy. I didn't know that actually. Let's make it go a little bit thicker around this area here. What do we think about that? Does that look a bit better? It still doesn't quite look right, does it? I'm not quite sure how to make it look right. The water could enter into a pool halfway through the passage. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. The blue's definitely better, isn't it? It definitely looks better. Maybe in fact if we have it like go a little bit further and then have like a second final pool here. Yeah, it doesn't quite look. Oh, I need to. I just realised there's still green on the foreground as well, so let's sort that out. There you go. It still doesn't quite look right, but I think it definitely looks better than it did before. So let's go with that for the time being while we finish off everything else. I might even, just to help me visualize it a bit better, let's change the texture to something else. So let's go with it like this black here, and then let's make the outer edges black. That's it. So let's make the outer edges black. Let's get rid of the softness. Let's just make all of this nice and black. And then maybe that will help. And I just have to trace around here, make sure I don't bugger it up a bit. And here as well. All around here. And there a bit as well. I was just going to say, when I put this into Foundry VTT, the players aren't going to be able to see outside of the cave, so I didn't think that what the cave looked like would matter, but actually I'm thinking that maybe it's going to help me visualize the cave better if this was just all black. So let's see what happens there, shall we? Thank you all for coming and hanging out with me while I make maps and stuff. I don't think we're going to have enough time to put it into Foundry VTT today. That will have to be a tomorrow job. There you go. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? It's a bit easier to visualize, I think. In fact, let's chuck some of these walls on here as well, just to finalize it a bit. Well done, Dave, for winning League of Legends. Congratulations. And let's grab one last little bit. Oh, don't actually want to steal it. I just want to copy it, chuck it in here. This corner down here. Okay, there you go. That's a bit easier to visualize, isn't it? So now we need to finish up this. It isn't subtract yet, so let's put a little stream, goes down, pulls up here a little bit, and then I like your idea, Amy, of chucking some bones in as well. So, oh, these look like they definitely look like dinosaur bones. Oh, there's a snake bone there. There you go. I still have the regions selected, that's why. Oh no, it's still just dragon bones. What about skeletons? Here you go. That's better, isn't it? So let's chuck a skeleton. I'm gonna darken it a little bit. There you go. Chuck a skeleton in there. And I might even use one of those frozen skeletons just so it's got a blue tint. And chuck that on here. Make it small. And then if I go to blend mode and change it to screen. Nope, overlay. There you go. Now it looks like it's underwater. So it looks like someone has perished and drowned. Right, and then the last thing, so this area is where they are going to have put all the belongings of their victims. So let's scroll through and see what we can put there. We're going to put a little, we want some like purses and stuff and some armor. I'm not sure if they have that though. So we could put some crates and stuff in there, but you know, people aren't just going to walk in with crates, is what I'm thinking. Got a death pudding or gelatinous cube there. Yeah, they don't just have armor by the looks of it. I was hoping there was going to be like discarded swords. There's a big old Titan sword there, but that's not quite what I'm looking for. Right, let's search. Right, so if I put in sword, there's only Titan swords. I wonder if a sword from the region area. No, nothing. Armor? Nope. Oh, there's a weaponry and tools bit. Oh, here you go, that'll do. Let's see what they got. So let's chuck some bits in and then I'll sort out what it actually looks like afterwards. So you got some weapons. Do you have any armor? Doesn't look like it. Let's chuck in a broken bow. It's not looking hopeful for the armor. What could we use instead of armor then? Don't think there's anything, was there? Okay, so right, what I'm going to do then, we're going to change the plan. We are going to use crates, and everything is just going to be stored in crates instead. So the sea hag and her will still, what we'll do, we will still put some of this stuff. If I move it up a layout, we'll put it in this open crate. Up a layer, chuck it in the crate, turn it a bit, make it small enough. There you go. And then we'll get rid of this stuff and we'll just say that the sea hags and their cronies, we'll move that down a layer so it looks like that's on top of. They actually put all their stuff into crates, which is nice of them. Okay, and this is a pretty simple map, so they're going to come in here. There's going to be some sort of zombie guards in this area. They're going to go through here, investigate this area. Oh, that's something I need. I didn't even put the mushrooms in here. So we are going to chuck some mushrooms in this area. That was the whole point of this area. So if I just chuck some down, we chuck some on the wall. No, don't want those colours, so chuck some on the walls as well. I'm just going to chuck them around this area. And then I think that'll be enough. Right. So then I sort it out. I'm sure this probably isn't the best way to go about doing stamps, but that's how I do it. I just chuck it on and then I position it afterwards when I've got everything on the map ready. We're going to make these a bit smaller because they're quite big. And then the skeletons are also a good sign for that these mushrooms are probably not going to be trusted. So the idea is some of these are going to release spores, which is not going to be good for the players, and then there's also going to be oozes hanging from the ceiling that are going to come down and attack. Then they're going to come through this way. They're going to hear chanting from down this area. If they choose to go this way, even on the way out, they're going to find some goodies, because there's going to be some gold and stuff from their victims. If they come this way to the chanting, they're going to see that this person is midway into being turned into a sea creature by a sea hag, and there's the other guard, which is here, not looking very good. And I think that's probably going to be enough for this map. It's not an overly detailed map, but it's going to do. So I am going to save it. And what I will do actually is we'll load up Foundry VTT. And let me just pull that to my second screen. I'll get it ready. We'll export this map. Save image. Right, so I'm gonna, oh, where'd it go? There it is. I'm gonna very quickly chuck it into Foundry VTT. And in fact, what I'm gonna do, I know I just exported it, but I'm gonna take off the grid, export it again. So yeah, this is the animated map, battle map that you can get from my website. So it's quite nice. The tokens don't move with it, I'm afraid. So, but yeah, this is what happened if you watched the announcement video. This was them being attacked on the boat. So just so everyone knows, we did play 2 sessions off of stream, so that the new players could understand Dungeons and Dragons, and all of the players were new to Foundry, or pretty much new to Foundry, so needed to teach them Foundry as well. So we're going to create a new scene, which I'm going to call Sea Dungeon for now. Create scene. Just going to pull it to the here while I chuck the background image in. Right, where is that? There it is. Sea Dungeon, select file. Okay, so we want token vision to be a thing. So let's save changes for the moment. We're probably going to take the darkness level down, actually. I'm going to leave it around there for the time being. Right, so let's activate the scene. Okay, so while we're working on it, in fact, let's put the darkness level back down again so you can see it. And the grid is probably too big. Yep, it is. So we'll go to the grid. And we're going to make it much smaller. So that looks about right. In fact, a little bit smaller. I want it so the corridors are around about 10 foot wide, except for this last one. So they might end up bottlenecking themselves. Maybe let's make it even a bit smaller. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. Commit changes. You can just about see the squares. Maybe let's put that up a bit, in fact. There you go, perfect. So if I grab a player, so let's grab Dren, chuck him in here, move around. Okay, perfect. We'll leave Dren as our test subject actually. So let's put in the walls now. Oh, okay. Actually, I don't want those types of walls. So, in case you don't know, there are different types of walls in Foundry, and the one we went for this is called terrain walls. So first off, I need to just cut off this end of the map. And then if you hold Control, it will continue the wall. So we're just going to go around like this. Perfect. Just going to go around the wall. And because we're doing a terrain wall, it doesn't actually matter too much how exact it is. Obviously, if this was a building, you'd want it to be a lot more exact. So we're just going to follow it around the map. Oh, so I buggered one up here. Oh no, there was just a really small one in there. I didn't see. Fair enough. Oh, I think I did the same again there, but that's fine. If any of you have questions about Foundry VTT as well, feel free to ask me. It's quite a... It's not complicated at all, it's quite easy to use, but there's just a lot to it. So if any questions come to mind at all, feel free to ask. It looks like quite a few people have left now, and it's probably past their bedtime if they're in Europe. In fact, that'd be interesting to know, where are people? Where are people from who are in the chat at the moment? So if I now select... Oh, that didn't work. Oh, it's because I've got to reset Fog of War. Perfect. Oh. Right, so if I select... why can he see that? That's not worked at all, has it? So let's go back to the walls. I think I've used the wrong type of walls, haven't I? Yeah. But I think if I... Yeah, I've definitely used the wrong type of walls. Silly me. So what I'm going to do to counter this is, rather than having to do it all again, is if I scroll right out and do this, I think that should solve the problem. So let's reset Fog of War again. No. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to delete Dren. Sorry, Dren. Come back out. Okay, I think I'm just going to have to start again then. My bad. Amy from Utah, USA. Very nice. I am from England. So it's quite late here. It's, well, not super late. It's 9:30 PM here. Right. Let's just select all the walls and get rid of them and start again. What? Oh, what am I doing? Pressing the same buttons as I was on Incarnate there, so. Right, so what I'm going to do to make sure I'm definitely using the right walls, we're going to do this little bit of the cave first. Then we're going to grab Dren. That's looking better already, isn't it? Reset the Fog of War, and he shouldn't be able to see outside of the cave. Perfect, that's much better. So if he moves about, he can't move through the walls and he can't see outside the cave. Okay, so I am now using the correct type of wall, which is good. Are you making maps as well, Amy? Oh, you're working. You're at work. Oh, I see. Very nice. Well, thank you. Hopefully your work's not too stressful today. Oh, the music's got a bit heavy again. Oh God. Right, I think what I'm going to do, we're going to make this wall, double check it's all working fine, and then I probably am going to call it an end on the stream. Please do come along tomorrow though and take a look at the live stream. We've got some really fun stuff going on with the production side of it as well to get people involved, and you can actually see how this plays out, which you all have a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going to happen that the players don't have a clue about. So now if I remove fog of war, I select Dren, we go for a little walk through the cave. It should reveal, yeah, as we go along. Perfect. Right, okay, so not really a problem, but something I didn't anticipate is when they come around this corner, they're actually going to be able to see the body, or people with dark vision anyway, are going to be able to see the body on the altar. But that's not too much of a problem, because by the time they get here, they're going to hear the chanting, and then they'll see that, and they'll be like, oh God, let's quickly go and investigate, deal with that, and then on the way out, they can then find their little bit of treasure. Oh, so apparently I could have highlighted the walls and changed all the properties at once. I didn't know you could do that, to be honest. So you're saying I can highlight all of the walls, and then how do you change the properties of the walls? Yeah, I'm not sure how you change the properties of the walls. I'm afraid. If you could fill me in of how you change the double click one node. 1 second. So if I highlight all of the walls, double click one node. There you go, I have learned something new. So I didn't even know this came up. Oh wow. Well, there you go, I learned something new. Thank you for that. Double left click one of the nodes and you can change that. Oh, thank you, Amy. Thank you for the tip. You are the first person who has ever tipped me, so I appreciate you very much. That's very kind of you. Just wanted to thank you for your time and tips, appreciate you, and hope you have a good evening. Thank you, Amy. That's really nice of you. Ah, that's made my evening, that has. Thank you very much. And thank you, Large Ugly Ogre, for your tip on the walls as well. That would have saved me a lot of time recreating them all. But it now seems to be working quite fine. Something you have actually just reminded me of that I'll quickly just double check. I'm pretty sure that Fop's vision wasn't correct. No, so he can't see anything, which is obviously quite a big problem. Dim vision. I always forget which way round it works on Foundry. Let me double check Dren's here. So he's got dim vision 60 feet, which means, and then bright vision for 30 feet he should have. No, it is just dim vision 60 feet because he's got dark vision. Oh no, I think that's fine actually, because turtles do not get dark vision, so he should have... I might have to look that up. I've completely forgotten how it works in Foundry, because I think... Oh, actually, what we'll do, we'll just test it. So reset fog of war. He's got nothing. Let's put a light source in. And then we'll select... Oh no, it does work fine. Okay. Ignore me. I thought it was wrong, but it is actually right. Large, ugly ogre. I'm still learning Foundry 2. Your video is about to talk to me into getting it. Yeah, I really like it. I used the original Fantasy Grounds. So now there's the Unity version. I haven't used that at all, but I use the original Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. And Foundry VTT is definitely the best, in my opinion. I like the modules, as you can see from my list of modules I use quite a lot of them. And I really like them. And yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like you're forever going to be learning, because there's always new modules coming out. There's always new stuff coming out, so yeah. Right, I think that is where we're going to call it quits. And then this will be a nice little dungeon for them to go into. I've still got some more stuff to put into Foundry, which I didn't want to do on stream because it's secret stuff. Secret stuff I don't want spoiled for you. But I thought it'd be quite fun if you all knew what was going to happen tomorrow in terms of the dungeons and the player didn't. So let me chuck myself up. Actually, in fact, let me just get rid of my green screen effect. There you go. Transition myself back on. Perfect. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming along. I really do appreciate it. And thank you again, Amy, for the $5 donation. Once again, really appreciate that. That is the first tip I've ever had. So you will definitely be remembered when hopefully I get a bit bigger than however many subscribers I've got now. Amy saying, I don't know if you have this, but if you have a video of your most used module, that would be awesome for a future video. So what I do have, and I'll just find for you now and chuck in the chat, is so these. Here we go. So this video is five modules that I think transformed my game the most. So they're not necessarily the best modules, but they're the modules that I think my players appreciated most, is probably the best way to explain that. So let me, in fact, what I'll do, I'll just have to remember to reset Dren's health. So let's remember what Dren's health is at, 14. And if I chuck Gandalf in there, which is it's not an atch. Oh. Let me just quickly give him some vision as well, because he doesn't seem to have vision. So let me just give you some vision so you can see each other. And then if I put them both into combat, roll their initiatives, begin combat, and then let's go to Gandalf. And then if Gandalf targets Dren, and then if I just make them face each other as well. So if Gandalf targets Dren, goes to a spell and clicks Magic Missile and cast Magic Missile, watch Gandalf and Dren. So cast Magic Missile, cast it, and little Magic Missiles actually come out and hit Dren. Which, just little stuff like that, I think is really cool. And then now, because Dren has got below 50% health, you can see that he has some blood on him. So that just helps your players. Oh, I just realised I'm explaining this and you can't even see the screen. What an amateur. Let me change back to my other screen. Here we go. I just did all of that and you saw nothing. So let's do it again. So I've got Gandalf here and we've got Dren targeted. Now if Gandalf does the... Oh, I need to give him spell slots now because he's run out of spell slots. Right, so if I get Gandalf to do magic missiles, we're going to cast them, watch Gandalf and Dren. So the magic missiles fly out from Gandalf and hit Dren. And I just think that's really cool. And then because Dren is below 50% health, he actually has blood on him. So it helps your players know when people are below 50% health. So it's just little stuff like that. Let's put Dren back onto 14 hit points, which is what he was on before. And let's end combat. But yeah, it's little stuff like that that you can do with Foundry that I think really improve the players' interaction with it. Right, let me chuck back to my full face now, and I won't do that again. So yeah, it's just little stuff like that. So in that video, I've got 5 of them that I really think transform the game, especially for the players. I'm also gonna quickly chuck in the chat my brand new website, which I'll really appreciate if any of you want to check out. There's some cool stuff on there. Right, and then yeah, that is where I'm going to end it. So thank you all very much for coming along. Tomorrow is going to be the first session of Vostrum, the Arcane Lore, where this map is going to be used. So please come along. It's 8 PM GMT, 4 PM EST and 1 PM PST, if my conversions are correct. So I'll see you there, and until next time, happy gaming.